All right, happy Friday. It is March 12th, 12:32 p.m. Eastern Time, and we're live. This is part 3-ish of a series of live coding events where I'm migrating my blog from Jekyll to Eleventy. So where we left off last week was there was an issue in the post template that I was using, and I've put in a PR with the source, and now it's updated, and that's displaying properly. So yay, that issue that bogged me down then is working, although there was another issue that I had noticed, and you know what, we'll start this week before I start moving my posts over, just to take a look and see if I can figure out the cause of that. So we're going to hop down in here to the terminal. I think we are close enough that anyone watching can see that. And we're going to forget what the command is to, I think it's, what was it, npm run dev? npm run dev. Hopefully that runs fine. And we'll get started. So the issue that I noticed was another issue on the templates with the dates. So I believe it was it this post? So this is my fake one, November 29th. It was an issue, it may have been with what was here prior, before I start making up issues. I'm going to switch this 11er back to the actual code. Don't need that. We'll hop over to the posts, and I'm going to switch that one back to the original post because that's how I saw the issue. So this is 11er. I believe that's how we'd pronounce this, which is the template that I'm using. And while working on it, I overwrote this post. So I'm going to just put this back in. I'm going to put this back in. Back up to the top. So the dates for this post are, I believe that is October 9th. And I thought, shouldn't that refresh automatically? I thought that should refresh. Let's just see if that broke. It shouldn't have broken. Well, that post, that post won't be there. Okay. Yeah, so this is, okay, here's the issue that I saw. The post that we have here has its date as October 9th, very clearly. And what's being rendered by this template is October 8th. So this might be a time zone thing. Obviously, this isn't, not obviously. I don't think this is an Eleventy issue. It's probably another little hiccup with the theme that I chose to use. So we're just going to take a quick peek in here to see if we can determine what's causing this. So that's going to be back to our layouts and our post. And the dates are being run through a date display filter. And if I remember the structure of this right, there's a filters folder with date display in it. And it is using date to locale date string, a function which I am not familiar with. Converts a date to a string by using the current or specified locale. So new date, passing in the date to locale date string, year numeric, month long, day numeric. All right, so let's start exploring why this is not working, or why it's giving us a strange result. I don't want to go to W3 schools. Let's check the Mozilla docs here. We'll zoom in. Returns a string with a language-sensitive representation of the date portion. The new locales and options arguments let applications specify the language its formatting conventions should be used. It doesn't explain to me why. Perhaps because it is UTC. I'm not sure the time zone of what's being displayed, and the options there are filled out. So what is accept? Just any date object. To locale date string. The date that we're passing in here is the from the post 10. That wouldn't. It wouldn't make sense for that to show as the 8th. All right, so let's run this. So we're gonna get rid of this. Can I can. Go Mozilla. All right, we'll just mess around in here. We'll see if this is gonna give us the same. I don't know if I'm zoomed in enough for you to see this. These are the Mozilla docs, and I'm just gonna try to update them we'll see if they behave the same way. So we'll copy in, not the Eleventy website. We've got our date, and we'll copy that. And we also need our locale there. And then we will go back. We'll update the locale that's being used. And we will switch. We'll get rid of this too. We'll update this. So what are we doing here? We are doing not that. We're doing, what was it? No memory. All right, we're using you. That's what we're using here. So we're going to say 2016 10 09, and we'll zero out what hours, minutes, and seconds, and we'll run that. Interesting. So that is saying Tuesday, November 8th. All right. Very perplexed right now. Why? So we went to UTC, which, let's see what's going on in the actual template here. There was not that UTC piece. It was just new date with that being passed in. I have a feeling here that I'm going to end up get stuck wrestling with dates for this whole live stream. I hope not. All right, so we're gonna just put this in. I mean, I'm assuming that this is going to behave the same as the template that I'm using, October 8th, 2016. So that is working the same. So we have the month right, and I'm assuming that if I switch this to the 8th, it's going to go to the 7th. All right. So I guess we'll have to look at what date is doing, right? JavaScript date object. Objectee. Nope. Gonna use Mozilla's again. A single moment in time in a platform independent date contains a number that represents the milliseconds. So it is in UTC. All right, so I just want to see what happens when we zoom in a little bit more here. All right, date and time zone conversions, always difficult. Parse UTC instance method. So how do we make a new date, and what is that? what does it accept? Several ways to create. That's what we want to see. The following example shows several ways to create JavaScript dates. Parsing of dates with the date constructor are equivalent. Parsing of dates is strongly discouraged. Okay. New date. You can pass in quite a long string. You can pass in. Okay, so what if we. Oh, the month. Interesting. The month is 0 indexed. Oh, that's not going to be helpful. We've got this format. December 17th. T03. What date? You know what? I'm not sure what date format that is. And that's to get. So let 2-digit years map from that. Okay. Calculating elapsed time, all of which is not helpful. Let's just grab. Let's grab this first of all. And see how. We'll see what happens if we add it to the end here. Run. Still. Oh no, that gave us the 8th. And so if we do 9, that's also giving us the 9th. So I need to figure out. I should know this, but I don't. What's the long date format? T03. Time. So that's the date, and then the T probably stands for time, right? 03, 24. Maybe we just do 0, 0. Can I just do that? 0 it out? That still gives me the 9th. What if I get rid of all of those? Invalid date. But if I get rid of the timestamp, I end up with October 8th, 2016, which is the same thing that I'm getting in the Eleventy template. Adding the timestamp in sets it correctly to that day. So is there a point where this switches? If we have 5, still the 9th. If we switch it to 9, still the 9th. If we switch it to 12, still the 9th. Just having any time in here. 23. Strange. Sorry. I don't think I want to spend the whole time here. Let's see what I've got going on here. I don't think I want to spend the whole time here figuring out why these result in different dates. I mean, different by a day. But I kind of do want to figure out why. So which? Okay. I'm going to go with date time formats. Okay. Standard. Yeah, okay. Table of format specifications. All right. Date time offset, date time offsets. The following describes them. I mean, this is, okay, so this is what we're using here. The following table describes the standard date and time format specifiers unless otherwise noted. A particular standard produces an identical string representation regardless of whether it's used with those two. And these are the docs for .NET. So not particularly necessarily applicable to what we're using them for. I just wonder why Datetime formats, JavaScript. W3 schools winning the SEO war for every term that I've searched. All right, what do we got in here? Well, we're not going to create it with milliseconds. We can pass in a date string. If there's a single argument and it's a string, it's parsed automatically. The algorithm is the same as date parse. We'll cover that later. So we'll take a look at what date parse. Okay, date parse from a string. Here we go. String format should be year, 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 month, 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 day, day, t, and then hour, hour, hour. Okay. Where the t is the delimiter, and then those are those. Okay, that's great. Now it says these are possible. Okay. Month, month, day, day. I don't know why. I mean, it makes sense. Well, I mean, this is the full format that they're looking for, but passing in 9 is giving us 8, which just, completely perplexes me. But I'm not going to get bogged down on this any longer. I'll make a note on that repo. Maybe I'll investigate this later. If anyone knows the answer, maybe I'll post on Twitter and see if someone can give me an answer. But for now, we're just going to solve it by appending the full timestamp there to the end of the string that we're using. How are we going to do that? We're going to do that by saying date. Nope, that's not what we want. Date's coming in. We're going to say a new date with date, and then actually we're going to put this will be at the end of it, and this will be what? $, curly brace, right? Something like that. Is that right? We'll find out if it's right. We're going to save it. Nothing broke. We're going to go back and hopefully we have, I'm still seeing October 8th there. October 8th. That either date's coming in, date T, to locale date time string, year numeric, month long, day numeric. That seems like it worked fine. Got our post here. And our output didn't change. Let's go back in. Oops, not there. Let's hop back in here. And let's just change this date to see if we run it differently. If we run it with the 8th, are we going to get the 7th? That ran fine. We ran it with the 8th and we got the 7th, so that didn't actually fix it here for us, which is interesting because it did work in. So this is our date display. We've updated to be new date using the date with the timestamp after it. Let's, you know what, we're just gonna, when in doubt, hard code until it breaks or until it works and then work backwards from there. We're gonna grab, alright, so we'll stick it back to be the 9th. We're saving it. We're confirming that this is updating because it's incorrectly saying the 8th. We're gonna grab the 9th and we are gonna hard code this in the date display. I wonder if I need to do any rebuilding if I'm changing filters. I'm honestly not sure. I have a feeling I do because that still says the 8th. So I don't think my changes in the filter are getting picked up. So we will stop it down here, and we will rerun npm run dev. And hopefully that resolves the issue in this case. All right. Invalid date. Nice. Well, it updated it. So we certainly did need to do that. But I guess my syntax was off. I thought I was allowed to pass in a template string like that. But I could be wrong. Am I doing the template string right? No, date's in there. I thought that's how you did it. Okay. All right. JavaScript template string. Template literals. That's what I want. Right? $ expression. $ curly expression. $ curly expression. That's within there. Okay, $. We're using those backticks. That should be handled correctly, but of course it's not being, because nothing is ever as simple as it should be. Because it doesn't like evaluating that in there. We're returning this. Well, first of all, let's confirm. We're going to confirm, first of all, that we can do this in a hard-coded way, that this will actually fix it. Because there's no reason poking on it if it's not going to fix it. And it's going to throw it up in Safari for us anyways. It's fixed. So that will fix it. It's just a matter then of updating this template to handle this correctly. And I guess I can't do the template literal as the argument that I'm passing in here. So I think then we have to actually go like this. We'll go return. We'll say let date time equal this, and then we'll pass date time in there, and we'll see if handling it that way fixes it for us. Fingers crossed. Then we can get into actually dealing with our posts. Invalid date. Why? Why is it invalid? Am I just being daft here? When we hard-coded this in there, it worked fine. And yes, that was me. Let's just make sure one more time that when I put in let's make sure this is working. All right, and let's just do a log of that daytime. So we'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone, even though we love birds. All right, so all of those. Oh, interesting. Why? Huh. That was strange, although that might explain what's happening here. Okay, so hard-coded, that worked fine, but the logging was showing us more full dates. Why is that the case? Oh, because we're turning it into, well, we're not turning, it's supposed to be a string at this point. And date display, so let's look at how this is getting called from our layout again. Wonder if date has been manipulated at any point before it, well, date or updated date before they end up down here. Because what we're doing is we're passing updated date to the date display filter. And I'm not seeing, I mean, we're just looking for the date variable there. Posts, no, page, just the general page view. Is it doing anything? We've got our header and our top notice. Header. Is there anything being done? Anything else being done in here? Tag, privacy policy, index, scripts, copy. Oh, this is just the actual JS for the site. That's not what we're concerned with. Okay, let's just look at the our Eleventy config. I've added the Slugify filter. Is there anything with the date in here? Well, we're just adding the filter itself. That's the only thing that's going on there. Is it just being... Is it just being smart about the dates? Because this is supposed to be a string here. I'm not sure why. And it can't be the name that I'm giving this, right? That doesn't make any sense. Let test equal console log test. And what do we got? Yeah, we've got, when we're logging that, we're getting a full date time object, not the string that we're trying to render. Color me confused. I mean, as far as I understand, I guess parameter date type any. I guess that's fine. Yeah, this is when you need TypeScript. So I guess it knows, it's assuming then that it's a date, which is why this isn't working. So it's expanding it itself before I'm turning it into a date object. I mean, I know that it's a string here. I want it to be a string. And I can't. No, why is it? Okay. Let's just see if there's like, all right. Template, literal, date conversion, JavaScript. See if that gives us anything. Template literals. So I don't want it to automatically do this conversion. The best format for string parsing is, you know what we should do? Okay, before we do any of that, let's just console log the date as it comes in right here. Let's do that first and see what we get. All right, so, okay, it's already, oh, what do we got going on? Okay, so this might explain what's going on here. It's already appending the time portion of the dates to the end there. So, let's look and see if we can find this one that's being done incorrectly. The one that was being done wrong was October 9th, 2016. October 9th, 2016 is coming through like this. And then it's not in there again, right? Nothing else says 2016. No. So is that a particular... All right, let's find out what particular time zone we are dealing with here. JavaScript date parser. Can I do this online? Sure. Let's have it parse that. Well, I don't want that. I don't want it parsed to UTC. I want it parsed for humans. So I know we have 0 for all the okay, so let's just say JavaScript date time zone. What time zone is that with the Z there at the end? Okay, let's zoom in so you guys can see what I'm reading. Tracks UTC internally, accept input and produces blah, blah, blah. There's no time zone or string format stored with the data object itself. So we can do date to ISO string and value of. Okay. Yeah. Not helpful yet. So the date that we're dealing with here is, let's just jump back to it. I mean, I would think that that's no time zone. So what, that's UTC? And then is it... all right, back to... not to Eleventy. All right. Oh, nice. Oh, let's mess with this. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're zoomed in a little bit. We've got our string. This will be our string. We don't need to add the Z because we already have the Z. So we're gonna okay. Let's just run this and see what we got. All right. So by default, that date is getting parsed as a UTC string. So that's what the 00Z that's getting appended there at the end, because that's just how JavaScript dates work. That's the first thing we're logging, the UTC string. Then local string, when we run it to string, it's coming through as October 8th. So this is the issue that we're seeing when we're running the posts. When it's being output, we're getting that I'm on the East Coast, and the difference between what it comes in as and UTC time is like 4 or 5 hours. And the generated data on the posts is then wrong. So why? Let's look at the docs for date to string. Because that's surprising to me that that to string localizes it. I guess if it's in the browser, that makes sense. ToString method returns a string representation of the specified date object. Yeah, note, your time zone may vary. So how would we account for this in our template here? Well, first of all, it's not going to be by appending anything to the it's not going to be by, let's roll this all the way back, not going to be by appending anything to the date. Well, that's, there we go, right? We want to, no, we're still going backwards. We're still Command Z. Okay. So what are the other options? Date. I don't want this to be converted to an East Coast date. I want it to remain, I want it to remain just that timestamp, that UTC publication time. Let's just, I thought I had it. I thought I had it on the tip of my tongue, on the tip of my brain. Okay. Well, it could be the way that we pass it. We might need to pass it differently into the date object. Or when in doubt, what I'll do here, we'll hop to Eleventy on GitHub. They have some starter templates. Here we do not. Might not solve our problem. Home base. Let's just check in here. We'll just search the whole thing for date. Date time. Oh, so they're using, interesting. The Eleventy base blog is using Luxon, which I believe is, a JavaScript date time library for handling the dates and times, which might be preferable. So let's just hop into our Eleventy.js here in the core one. So what do? We require Luxon, and then we've got a readable date object that they output, and then an HTML date string that gets shown to. Okay. I'm going to have to figure out which I want to do more. I don't think these are the kind of changes that I could necessarily pass back up to the theme that I'm using, because they're a bit more substantial. But I could at least create an issue that the dates are being rendered inaccurately based on a difference between UTC and the time zone that I'm working in. I mean, I know that I could fix this with adding a different filter here. All right, so we know that we do have a theoretical solution. We'll just follow what the Eleventy base blog is doing. We'll add a dependency. We'll use that to parse the dates and times. And I imagine that the result will be, acceptable, I'm assuming. If we don't make that switch, then we're here. And when the date is being converted, is there any way we can tell it? Is there any way that we can tell it the time zone that it should be in. Okay. JavaScript. All right. How are we gonna set the time zone? Set UTC date. Well, that's not necessarily what we want because it already is effectively UTC date. I mean, an alternative. I mean, we could incorporate the UTC offset into the blog setup, but that seems like a lot of work. To time string. I don't want any of those. All right. Which one are we? We're working with this one. So that's what we have passed in. What can we do here to manipulate this? New date. And I guess toString didn't seem like it took any. We were looking at toString here, and it didn't look like it took any arguments about like where the time zone should be output. Just toString. Okay. Date instances inherit their toString method from the date prototype, not the object prototype. Date prototype toString returns a string representation of the date. It was implementation independent. toString is automatically called when it's to be represented as a text value to generic method. Uses of toString. To locale string. Oh, you can pass the time. There we go. Okay, so are we using? You know what? Perfect. Are we using? We're to locale date string. Let's just go to we may have solved this at the end of the hour. Not that one. To locale date string. What are our options here? Using locales to locale date string. Oh, please tell me that the time zone, is the time zone not an option? That seems kind of buggy. Let's go back. In here, into locale string, there, right, was this one? There appeared to be a time zone option. So I'm going to grab this and I'm going to stick it in here. And I'm going to see if that breaks things or changes them at all. It would be wonderful if that worked, because that is the kind of fix that I could push back up to the main post. Oh yeah, October 9th, it does work. So I'm going to hop back. It's going to confirm here. I've got my post. The date is set to October 9th. If I set it to October 8th, that's going to be updated correctly here, October 8th. If I set it back to the 9th, once again, it is back to the 9th. All right, so what we found out today, and that's probably a good place to wrap this up, is once again in the template, there was a little bug with how the dates and times were being handled. Because I don't live in UTC, the UTC date stamp on the posts was being converted to UTC and then converted back, and in the process 4 or 5 hours were being changed, and it was resulting in dates incorrect dates being displayed on the posts. But by setting the time zone in the toLocaleDateString function, we can keep it as UTC. We're only showing the day, month, year anyways, and that corrects the output so that we get the correct dates. So once again, I'll open up an issue and a PR on the 11Ty theme, and that will resolve this issue. And then hopefully next week, I can start actually working on moving my blog posts from the old format to the new format and accounting for URLs and all that type of stuff. So I'm going to wrap it up right there because, problem at the start, problem solved by the end. Not going to push my luck and dive into anything further. So thanks for hanging out this week. Have a great rest of your Friday. Have a great weekend. And maybe I will see you next week. Bye.